Now that I'd seen The Naked Gun, I needed to properly review the film. But how would I explain my thoughts and feelings in an entertaining and yet succinct manner, providing value to my viewers? Also, how am I going to retain those viewers throughout and persuade them to like, comment, and subscribe? An age-old question. A question to which I'm not sure there is an answer. Only time will tell. So The Naked Gun is a quasi-reboot of the original 1980s and 90s spoof TV series and movies, and follows Frank Drebin Jr., a seasoned member of Police Squad, who is tasked with investigating what seems to be a simple single-car accident, but there just might be more to it than meets the eye. Working with the victim's sister, can Drebin figure out who's behind this plot and save Police Squad from being shuttered? Hey, I'm the guy with no name, and I just wanted to say thank you for stopping by my channel. Also, any support you can give me on reaching my goal of 350 subscribers would be much appreciated. With that out of the way, let's get back to the review. The Naked Gun was co-written and directed by Akiva Schaffer and stars Liam Neeson as Frank Drebin Jr., Pamela Anderson as Beth Davenport, the murder victim's sister, Paul Walter Hauser as Ed Hawken Jr., and Danny Houston as tech billionaire and CEO Richard Kane. Airplane, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Young Frankenstein, Spaceballs, The Naked Gun. Pretty much everyone agrees that these are classic spoof movies, but notice how they all basically came out in the 70s and 80s. We don't get spoof movies anymore, and to be honest, it feels like we don't even get comedies anymore. And then along comes The Naked Gun with Liam Neeson. And on top of that, the trailers came out and they were okay, but they really didn't impress me that much. So going into the movie, I was skeptical, but I did want to like it. I just kept wondering in my head though, do people even know how to make spoof movies anymore? But in the immortal words of one Poe Dameron, somehow spoof movies have returned. Or in the words of John Wick, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. Honestly though, it felt like it was inevitable they were gonna make one of two mistakes. Either make it too much like the older movies and be unoriginal and feel outdated, or try to connect to modern audiences too much and thereby making it fail as a spoof and a continuation of the Naked Gun movies. But somehow they found the perfect balance and didn't make either mistake. And yes, there are lots of jokes and gags. Do they all work? No, but honestly about 85 to 90% of them ended up working for me, at least to a certain degree, which is a pretty high number. Also, I have to note, I did cry laughing quite a few times. And then also there were certain jokes that did not work for me at all, but then they kept going and they kept adding certain layers on top of layers. And eventually sometimes I would end up laughing and going, you know what, that actually is funny. The cast all does a pretty amazing job, and it seems like they're all on the same page on how serious versus how goofy to be, which is actually a pretty hard thing to do. Liam Neeson was the perfect man to lead this movie, and you know, if you can't have Leslie Nielsen, he's the next best thing. Seriously though, my hat's off to the writers, especially Mr. Schaffer, because this movie makes it or breaks it depending on the directing and the jokes. I will say too, the third act loses a bit of steam and it's not as funny as acts 1 and 2, but still, when the end credits started rolling, I immediately turned to my dad, who is a big fan of the original Naked Gun movies, and I knew I heard him laughing a lot throughout, so I expected he liked it to a certain degree, but yeah, we both enjoyed it, and we both were surprised by how good it was. In the end, it's a love letter to the original Naked Gun movies and to spoof movies in general, and I really hope they make a sequel. The Naked Gun is a great movie and has some serious, true grit. Thank you guys for watching as always, I really do appreciate it. Also, I did have a question for you guys in the comments. What do you think was the last great spoof movie that was made? I kind of feel like my answer might be Tropic Thunder, but I really would be interested to see what you guys think. Also, if you haven't already, check out my review on the Fantastic Four First Steps. And yeah, until next time, this is the guy with no name, signing off.